Gamma, the powerhouse of a tool that helps bring your ideas to life. Excited to dig into Gamma today and share Gamma 3.0. We've got Gamma Agent, the focus of what we're going to be covering today. It's such a powerful tool, and we use Gamma. Our community uses Gamma, and there's so many unique ways that we're going to continue to find to use it. For anybody that's watching this today, if this is your very first time getting exposed to Gamma, welcome. Excited to have the platform and the team with Amanda to share what we can do and build with this tool and invite you to check it out, which Gamma actually offers free trials. If you go to geniiu.com/gamma, you can get started with a free pro trial. Gamma has been a staple in my workflow for years now. So I hope that we can shine a light on some of the ways that you can leverage Gamma in your own workflow. With all of that said, Amanda, welcome to the final Scale with AI Summit of 2025. It's been a ride this year. How are you doing today?
Hey, it's so good to be here. And yeah, I'm really excited to share Gamma Agent with you all, but there's a lot of more exciting things coming up too. So I'll give you all some sneak peeks as I like to do in the Scale with AI Summit. But yeah, I'm doing really good and I'm excited to be here, see so many familiar faces. Shout out Donna with your Gamma swag. I love it.
Love it. Yeah, we got some ambassadors in the house. We got Grant was here the last few summits with us. Yeah, good to see some familiar faces and like we're all like learning how to use these tools and adapt and evolve with them so that the speed at which Gamma is launching and shipping new features and is receiving community feedback, I really can't recommend them as a tool and a platform as a company that really truly supports the creators and the people that are using the tool on a day-to-day basis. And if you've seen any of their stuff on LinkedIn, on social, they've been doing some really cool marketing events out in San Francisco. And yeah, an agent came out recently, which is, I know there's so much that people can use and unlock it when it comes to inside of like their own workflows inside of Gamma. So you mentioned some new stuff. You mentioned agent that we're going to be demoing today. You want to just take the stage, Amanda, kick things off?
Yeah, let me kick us off. And I will just plug really quickly that a lot of what makes Gamma so great are Gambassadors and our power users who I say this every time. No, I genuinely think you all know the product better than I do. And a lot of what I pieced together when I was doing this, when I was putting together this Gamma was like directly based on feedback from all of you. I have a demo prepared, and like I said, I'm going to go through a couple of like new features, but I like also want to open the floor for people that are like, I used it in this really awesome way. And here's like some of the cool things that I figured out. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. I mean, you all really do help make the product even better. Okay, so with that said, I am going to be focusing on Gamma Agent, which we're calling your AI design partner. I'm also realizing I want to make sure I have the chat open. Okay, got it. Just so I can see any feedback you all have. And I think, like I said, I see some familiar faces, so I know you all are really familiar with Gamma, but just in case you aren't, I just want to share a little bit about who we are. And so the purpose behind what we do at Gamma is that we build powerful AI tools to help you share your thoughts in presentations, sites, social posts, and really anything else that you can think of. At the end of the day, we are building Gamma because we believe in you and the creations that you want to share. Okay, so this is the team on the call. So I'm Amanda. I run our power user community. Like I said, you all are ambassadors, is what we call our power users. And it's just been such a valuable role to hear how you all are using Gamma. Like, we are not the experts here. I mean, we use Gamma every day, but it's really like our power users that help shape the product. We also have Max. He is on the call today, and he is one of our technical support engineers and also our in-house API expert. And he's here to answer your questions in the chat. So if anything comes up, we're going to be doing a Q&A at the end, but if there's anything that comes up and you have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat and Max will jump in. Okay, so today's focus is agent, and I'm not going to dive too deeply into this slide because I'm going to talk about, or this card, because I'm going to talk about, I'm going to be doing the demo, but basically this is the way to help you talk to your Gamma. So like for most of you that are using AI tools, you've probably noticed that there's something like a co-pilot or some sort of chat where you can tell it what you want to do and it'll do it for you. And so that's what we're trying to do with, or that's what we're doing with Gamma Agent. So there's a couple of use cases here. You can use Agent to search the web. You can drop in links or screenshots and have Agent visualize them for you. I personally like using Agent to basically say, like, how does this look design wise? Make suggestions on how to make this look better. You can also, yeah, have it give you feedback. So it's basically a way to make editing your Gamma and perfecting it even faster without having to do everything within Gamma, which I think was already easy, definitely much faster with Agent. Okay, and I just want to do something fun before I hop into the demo. So I'm gonna exit out of here. So this is our unofficial mascot. We call him Mr. Peepers. He's a three-eyed cat. And so these are just some examples of what things you can ask Agent to do. But in this case, I'm gonna actually ask Agent. I click on this, open Agent in the right-hand corner. You can see here that I have this image selected. And so I'm going to have it add, oops, I'm going to have it add a tiny party hat and a party horn. And let's see what happens here. You can have Agent search the web, but then you can also have it edit your images, animate your images, and let's see. Okay. All right, so that's just a fun example of some of the silly ways that you can use Agent. We're going to dive into some more specific use cases of how you can use Agent in your day-to-day work. And so I'm going to go ahead and jump into a demo. Any questions, thoughts before I jump in? Cool.
I don't
I
see any specific questions. I do see a lot of love for Gamma. Thanks for putting that out there, Omar. Let me see. How can we create a super? Oh, I think that's for a different person's thread. No, I think we're good. Let's keep it going.
All right. Okay, so in today's demo, this is actually, I decided to just use a real use case that I'm currently working on as a community manager. I'm often reaching out to other companies to talk about partnerships or co-hosting events. I just had a meeting with the Zapier team to talk about co-hosting workshop in the San Francisco Bay Area. More to come on that, stay tuned. But something that I want to do after this call or after my call with them is I want to be able to pitch this to our leadership team and our marketing team and basically just tell them, like, I think this would be a really cool thing to do, and here's why. So this is the content in here is made up. So I did have a call with them, but just generated like some fake notes for this demo specifically. But so I basically what I did is I took my meeting notes and I dropped them into Gamma and I generated this. This is completely unedited. I haven't touched this Gamma at all. And you can see here it's fine. I think it did a decent job. I definitely see some room for improvement. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically make edits to this Gamma entirely using Agent. One of the things that I did when I was preparing for this workshop was I asked it, what are some of the things that you're really good at, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and open up Agent. And let's see. Let's start with, let me actually just ask it, right? If you're like, I'm not really sure where I want to start with this, you can just ask Agent, what are some of the things you can do, right? It's going to give you a ton of information. So creating new cards, editing existing content. Like I said, you can ask it to make changes to visuals and generate custom images. It can also add like smart layouts and smart diagrams. So there's a ton that it can do, right? And then you can also just say, make this better, and Agent will do that. And then it even goes into details about what it can't do. So these are things that we're currently working on, right? But changing specific fonts, that's something that Agent can't do. I just tried to do this embedding external content. So things like I wanted to add a Spotify playlist to my Gamma, and I tried to do that with Agent. So it can't embed things. Exporting, sharing, generating multiple layouts at once. So if you're like, I want to see what this will look like for across different layouts, that's something that Agent can't do. Let's just have it go into more detail, right? What are some of the things you can't do? Let's see. There was one other one we just got a feature request the other day that we're working on. But one of our ambassadors was saying that I want to use Agent to add a table of contents or like links to cards. And at the moment, it will add your table of contents, but it doesn't actually include links. So that's something that we're actively working on. But of course, there are some limitations here, but these are, if you're like, what are some things that like, what are some of the limitations? You can just ask it. And then I do want to call out, we do have credits, and we've been getting some questions about what is agent, what are you using your credits on? And sometimes it's like agent makes a change and it's not exactly the right change. And sometimes I'm just using agent for silly things. So I want to ask it, what do I get charged credits for? And it'll actually tell you. Oh, weird. It actually changed it up. I initially asked it and it told me, here's all the things that you'll get, like that I do that you'll get charged for. I guess that's what I get for doing like a live demo, but we do have a Help Center article on this, so I'll share it. But initially it told me like basically if you're talking to agent or you're like asking it for suggestions, it's not like making direct edits, it's not like editing an image or it's not adding a card or researching the web. Like you're not like going to be charged credits. It's just more of, yeah, physical changes that it's making to your gamma. Okay, so let me actually, okay, so the first thing that I noticed, let me just take a look at this gamma. So something that comes to mind on this like very untouched gamma of mine is that I had it add accent images to when I was generating the gamma. And these are our like brand accent images, but it's I think it's odd that it just put them in as a side image. So the first thing I want to do just right off the bat, I want to ask it to make the images backgrounds of the cards instead. I think that will look a little bit better visually because I don't know, I don't necessarily feel, yeah, I like the way that looks. Awesome. Okay, so now you'll see that agent says, okay, great, I've gone ahead and modified this. It'll show you the original and then the modified. I'm happy with that. I think this looks great. I'm gonna stick with it. You can also tell agent if you think this is a good suggestion or a poor suggestion. I use this a lot. So, if you're like, this is awesome, you can give it a thumbs up, tell us how we did. And also, if you think that it didn't do a good job, you can leave feedback. That's something that helps us understand, like, what are some of the ways that agent is not working. Of course, you can also give product feedback to our product board, but just wanted to plug this in-app feature here. All right, so now I have a couple of images added to my card. And there's also the research prompt, which and basically searching the web, which I think is a really cool way to use agent. So I have this like why this matters, the event structure, investment, right? I want to tell like the Gamma team, here's why I think we should do this. But I think it also would be valuable to add a card that covers other successful workshops that Zapier has had with other startups. So I have this prompt here to ask agent to search the web, and it's going to go ahead and do that for me. And I believe it will, and yeah, and it'll add a card on the information that it finds. And just give it a minute or a couple seconds to generate this. Awesome. So funny. I wonder. Okay, so I'm happy with this. This like accent image thing is, let me just delete. That looks better. Okay, so now it's gone ahead and searched the web and it's talked about different events that Zapier has had with other startups. Let's see, it's talking about Zap Connect, vibrant local meetups, partner webinar series with Appify and Lovable. Okay, and so in this case, I'm happy with this. I think that this is a good, but say like say you're actually researching something or you're doing something for, you're an educator and you want to add something to your Gamma that is like more research focused. What you can do is you can ask agent to basically cite the sources where it grabbed them from. So I'm going to do this. I haven't actually done this before. So we'll see if this works, but and I don't know how it'll do this with a like this sort of specific use case, but for things like creating a lesson plan or if you're like doing something specifically, let's see how it works and we'll go from there. Can you cite the source about? Let's just see what it does. And my thinking here is, okay, Zapier's official event page. It's their flagship event. Okay, so it says basically, do you want me to be more conservative or add a note about the source? Add a note about the source. Okay, so my thinking here is that if say our team isn't familiar with this sort of event before, but they want to look into it. Now there's a way to add a source. I think, of course, this is probably more powerful if you're using this for sourcing, citing like something that's actually been researched, but I am happy with the fact that agent was able to help me to do that. Okay, so that's a little bit about the research feature of agent. Now, let's see. I have this card and I want to make some edits to the layout. So, what's a good example of this? I think that this is fine, but just to show you all what we can do here, let's see. So I've selected this card. Actually, let me make sure that I've selected this. Another cool feature is that if you do Command E, it'll select that card for you. And so in this case, I have this card selected and basically, let's see what it has. It has also some quick edits. Let's do change the layout. Oops, typo. What would you like? Image placement. I want a different smart layout. Visually, I want to see if this can look more interesting. And now it's going to go ahead and make changes to that. Okay, that's fine. I think, let's see. Let me actually go into, I think this is technically still agent, but if I go into this card and I actually say try a new layout, this might be actually probably a more interesting way to use this feature. So in this case, can we give it our brand board? Yeah, so Tracy, do you mean give it your brand template, like colors and things like that? Or do you want to, yes,
Yeah,
fonts?
I think so. I think that's what she's meaning. Yeah, colors and fonts, and that might be a good thing to just like touch on for this minute because you generated this in Gamma's brand
Yeah,
style, but it's very simple. Create your own brand board with your own colors and your own image styles.
awesome. I also see Donna's request that I will definitely animate this image. But okay, so agent as far as, so I think most of the brand stuff is still going to be at the theme level. So let me stick with this image. In this case, you can see this is our default brand image. But if you want to create a new theme, and then you can build a theme from there. Something that agent can do. So let's say you've built your theme, right? We have some curated ones, you can customize it. But say that you've built a theme and you have your text, your background images, basically you've picked your colors and let's just go ahead and continue because I want to see, let's go to logo. You put in your logo, you've designed it, and I'm just going to close this. So say that you have your theme built, but you want to actually make changes. And basically, just here's what I would do in this case. And I've done this before. So I can say things like, can you edit colors on this card? And also, I just say, I realized I don't like to say, can you edit the colors on this card to with different colors in my theme. That's a little bit vague, but basically what it can do is it'll pull from your theme. Okay, it's actually asking me to be more specific. All right, so let's change the box background colors, but it'll pull directly from your theme to make those changes. Let's see. Okay, that's funny. Yeah, I think it probably did do that, but I don't love what it did. Theme colors. Yeah, I actually feel like it didn't. So these are my theme colors. It didn't actually quite do what I thought it was going to do. So we're still working on it. But does that answer your question? Or were you looking more for like theme specific? So in this case, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, and I saw you had a place where it said you could import, right? Yeah, I love throwing a brand board. I work with a lot of companies, so it's nice to be able to just throw the brand board in there and go.
Yes. Yeah, you can definitely do that. You can import and we'll match basically the brand template and then you can build it from there. But yeah, it's right now it's still at the theme level. It's not like yeah, agent specific. But that would be cool. Okay. I'm gonna move on. So Donna suggested animate the image. Okay, let's do that. I want to, I'm gonna try it with this one, but I will say that I think that sometimes, let's just do animate. Sometimes with like accent images, so things that we haven't generated specifically in Gamma, I notice it's like sometimes a little bit wonky, but let's see what it comes up with here. How do you like to know? How would you like to animate it? Let's see what it decides to do. Oh, yep. Okay, sorry, y'all.
Oh,
Yeah, refresh page. Okay, but that's
oh,
interesting. So it did work. Funny. Yeah, this is like another limitation where it's if you've like uploaded images versus created them in Gamma, I find that sometimes it's not great, but I guess it did do it. I'm curious though what that error was. Okay.
it still looks like it did it.
Yeah.
Again, it just timed itself out for a minute, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it took too long. Cool. All right, so now we have our little roaring lion. So cute. Let's see. Okay, so I added the format. This is another one, another card where something that's just really easy, right? I think that this is one card, but it's a little bit, I think it's like too much to add onto one card. So what I want to do is ask agent split this into two cards. And what it'll do is it'll just make it really easy investment and long term. Basically, what it'll do is it'll take the kind of like the investment and long-term value piece and then split it into the timeline into a separate card, which I think makes a little bit more sense. Awesome. I'm happy with that. I think that makes more sense. And then let's say, okay, so we just have this timeline. And what I can do is let's select this card. Oops. And say add a little more information. Let's see. Something else specific. Let's say dependencies. In this case, like I might actually have that information. Okay, requires initial meeting. Okay. And so in this case, you could actually just like copy paste, put it into agent, and then it'll actually just add it for you. In this case, I had to generate this like mock situation for me. All right. Okay. And then let's see. So I've added this card about other examples of Zapier's meetups. I have the next steps in timeline. I'm feeling like pretty good about this. I think I'd like rearrange some cards, but one of the cool things is that you can actually just have agent do this for you. So say you've gotten your gamma to a place where you feel good about it and you want to basically just be like, how does this look? So you can actually say things, which I've taken to doing this every time I create a gamma, but basically review the deck and make suggestions on how to improve it. And then also ask me if you should make these. Okay, it's saying the title card is strong, could benefit from call to action or key metric. Okay, I don't know if I really want to do that. Event structure card has a random lion image. That's hilarious. I'm gonna keep the lion, like it. Visual element to investment, flow structure. Okay, so I want to say prominent visual. Okay, I'm gonna say add prominent visual to which card is that? Why this partnership matters. I also want to structure, and I also want it to add a summary card at the beginning. It's funny though, I got a kick out of the fact that it was like this image of a lion doesn't make sense for what you're talking about. Okay, interesting. I think what I'm learning, a takeaway, is not using accent images for demos. That's interesting how it did this. Okay, so let's see why this partnership matters. So basically, it added the summary card, opportunities at a glance, why this partnership matters. So that's funny. It edited this and added the image again. So that's something that needs to be worked on. Let's see their track record. So that makes a lot of sense. Kept this card the same, investment and long-term value. Great. Awesome. Did it do everything that I asked it to do? Yeah. restructure it. Cool. So that's like another way that you can use agent basically to just make things really simple. Like I said, there's things like it's still in beta, right? So like in this case, the fact that it took this image and it put it back to the way it was, I don't love that. But I think it's actually more of an accent image thing. So if you're using like AI images or possibly even images that you've uploaded, you might be able to, it might not make these changes. But that's something that I'm going to take back to the team, definitely. I see there's another suggestion here. Add a YouTube video. Okay, let's actually, I wonder, you mean ask agent to do it? Oh, wait, I don't know if it can because it said, look, let me go back. I asked it, what are you not good at? Embed external content like YouTube videos. Well, I wonder if I say search for a YouTube video. Let's just try. I don't know if this, I'd have to have a YouTube video in mind. Let's see. What's the really popular?
I'll get one for you. One
Okay.
second. I'll give you the one where we did the last month's workshop with
Oh, that's perfect.
Gamma and Zapier.
Oh, yeah, when we talked about the API.
All right, here you go.
Okay. Video to the, I don't know if this is going to work. I think this is like one of the limitations. Not able to embed, generate a custom image, replace the line image. Yeah, unfortunately, it's a limitation. I wonder though if,
It is something you can do just manually.
right, yeah, just take the, wait,
Slash YouTube. Yeah.
got it. That's funny. I've been using agents so much that the slash, the forward slash is one that, great. There we go. Yeah, so not quite, agent isn't quite ready for that, but there is a way to easily do it with just forward slash YouTube. Just another quick thing for fun. You ask agent, what's your name? It'll tell you that its name is agent, but some people call it buddy. That's what we call it internally. And I have to keep reminding myself to call it agent to folks like on workshops and stuff, but kind of just like a fun Easter egg. There are a couple Easter eggs that we've built into agent, which is just like something that you all might enjoy doing while you're working with agent. A couple things that I want to point out, some tips, right? So obviously I did this demo live. We saw some like limitations with agent, but if you're running into issues where, you're having a long conversation with agent, that's something it's not great at quite yet. So if you're finding that you're getting an error or you're just noticing that it's not quite suggesting the right like things to you, what we recommend is clearing the conversation at the top and beginning again. It's like it's not quite like ChatGPT or Claude where it has this really long memory, but certainly something that we're working on. And I just wanted to share that because I think sometimes it can be hard when you've had this long conversation and it's getting to a point where you're like, okay, it's not quite doing what I wanted to do. Sometimes just clearing it is a way to an easier way to just start fresh. Okay. I do have, that's all I had on agent, unless you all have want to see certain things, we can test it out. I also wanted to show you all some new-ish Gamma features that's not
Yeah,
really
guys, any specific questions or about how agent works or functions, now's the time to ask, but I'm certainly looking forward to some of the updates for what's coming next. All right.
cool.
Updates.
So we have two features in beta right now. One of them is templates. And so now you have the ability to generate templates for gammas that you're using really frequently. This has been one of the most common feature requests that we've gotten. So this use case is relevant to most people, right? If you're generating a lot of different decks, maybe you have different clients, or maybe it's like for a lesson plan, and you don't want to generate a new gamma every single time. Templates are a way to make it really easy for you to not only create a template, but then make edits to it. So in this case, I actually have a really specific use case, which is that I run a lot of workshops like this one, and I'm running it for different audiences. And so I have a gamma that I like to use, but I want to be able to quickly create a new gamma for the appropriate audience. So I'm going to go ahead and this is my template gamma workshop. And you can see here what I've created. Some of this stuff I haven't actually edited. This was actually from the first Scale with AI workshop that I ran where we talked about smart diagrams and we did a little like gamma makeover. But for the most part, I'm really happy with how this looks and it has some nice beginning like title slides that I want to use. Okay, so I've selected this template and you can either just jump into using it and making edits, or you can use Remix, which is another new feature that we have that's in beta. And so what this is, it allows you to quickly edit your template to create the gamma. So you can do it the old-fashioned way where you can like jump into the template and make the edits yourself, or you can give it the prompt with the edits that you want to make. So just for this example, what I want to do is we just did a workshop yesterday on selling with gamma for folks in the sales space. And so I'm going to ask Remix to make edits based on, or basically prompt it to edit this template. Also, I want to point out this is like a very new feature. So there's some prompting tips, right? So tailoring to an audience, replacing the content or changing it. You can ask it to add placeholders or don't edit certain cards or add cards, removing things like that. So there's a ton that you can do. In this case, I have some ideas of what I wanted to do. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy paste. But basically what I'm asking it is adapt this for sales professionals, change the title slide to selling with Gamma and not just workshop with Gamma. And I wanted to adapt this card in particular, these cards. I talked about the value of visual communication in one of my workshops, but I wanted to be more focused on Gamma for sales. So go into more detail about why is visual storytelling so important for sales, basically. And then I have this other card. So I have these smart diagram cards that's not relevant for this workshop in particular. And I also want to remove this card because it's not relevant. So you can really easily look at your gamma, give it the prompts, and then generate it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's going to take a minute to make all these changes.
We were just demonstrating with this in a workshop earlier today, taking the time to make a really solid template that you only want to customize for a few specific different industries can save so much more time down the road once you really nailed that template. So I'm a big fan of this feature already.
Me too. The way that I prepare for workshops now has changed because of course, you can generate a gamma in minutes, but for workshops, I want to spend time making sure that that's valuable for you all and that it makes sense for the audience. And in this case, like I was able to generate like the gamma that I presented on earlier, like with Remix, and that was a really cool way to use it. So it's just continued to save me time. Okay. So now, oops. Okay, so it's changed the title. This is the same. I didn't want to make any changes. These have stayed the same. What we'll cover today. So they changed the agenda. That's interesting. But I'm happy with this. Basically, it focuses on the audience, which is sales professionals, visual communication. This is interesting. Majority of people are visual learners. I can't remember if this was already here or not, but the fact that it added like a footnote, even though it's not there, is interesting. Oh, I think I did already add these. So I added these as references, but so it specifically goes into details about this is critical for sales presentations. So it didn't change the numbers. These were already here, but it's just tailoring it to the sales audience. Gamma is your sales. I love that it changed this to your sales presentation partner. Stay on brand across all client touch points. Create images that resonate with your prospects. In this case, like I could have even changed this even further and made it even more specific to sales, but in this case, I just wanted to show you all some things you can do with Remix, and then that's just stayed the same. I probably could have removed that, but yeah, that's just something that I wanted to show you all. And then just to bring it all back to a full circle moment, once you've remixed this, you can use Agent to make the final touches on and make the tweaks on it before you want to present this to your client or your students or your team or anyone, your family. So yeah, that's everything I had prepared for today. I think just the last thing is just Q&A. What do you all want to, oh, I don't think I have a Q&A slide, but yeah, curious what you all want to talk about or ask questions on.
We covered it a couple months ago, Gamma Studio, which is now part of an even higher tier plan, which probably doesn't make sense to get into the details of Studio, like in terms of a demo here. But I'm curious, does Agent also translate to making edits in Studio? I'm pretty sure it does, but that also applies for the visual side of things.
Yeah, actually with Gamma Studio, I'm pretty sure you can only make edits to those cards with Agent.
I'd be,
So
are you open to sharing just a little bit about how Studio like works in terms of the next level of Gamma?
yeah.
When I've used it personally, I really the way it works in terms of the quality of the image presenting, but I did realize that it was only able to edit using Agent versus the traditional typing as you just
Yeah.
shared.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was it.
So I think it's my understanding that, so for those of you that haven't used Studio, I actually haven't used it that much. I've just used it more for fun. But the idea of Studio is that it's more of a, I think people use it for a lot of social content, or if you want this like really image, like unique gamma that's really image heavy. Basically, what it's creating is there's no like text. It's all image based, and it's on our higher plan because it's generating a ton of images and it's pretty costly. But in this case, I'll show you all an interesting way to use. And then you have options here. Do you want it to have a lot of words, but it's generating this within the image? So it's like a unique way to use Gamma. So it's like more storytelling. Let the imagery do the talking. I'm going to just stick with minimal text. I don't think I wanted to create 10 cards. Let's say 5 cards. I'm going to ask it to, it's good with telling stories of, let's do Halloween because it's coming up. Let's see what it does. Okay. All right. Let's pick a fun theme. Dark.
Kind
A
of Halloweeny.
little bit Halloweeny. Okay. And then you still have to pick your images, but you'll notice here that it doesn't let you pick the model. So I'm going to go with illustration. I don't know what it's going to make. So if it's something scary, let's go with something that's going to be like more cartoony and hopefully less scary. This is always a funny one to demo because I'm just like, it's like sometimes it's great and sometimes I'm like, so now you're basically seeing that it's generating a huge image as a card. And then any edits that we want to make, I'll do with agent. So things like edits to text, it'll go from there. Yeah. Okay. Has anyone used this? Has anyone been using this for, I'm just curious because yeah, it's not like specific to my job, but I do just use it for fun sometimes, but I haven't used it for a work thing yet.
I'd used it for like storyboarding out like a flow of a game that was being played in classrooms and like how to play it, the rules, the context of it, and it just made a much more visual presentation than I would have made previously. So I was happy with it for that use.
That's awesome. Donut classroom content. That's a really good one. I'm actually happy with how this turned out. So you'll notice I can't select anything because it's an image. Let's see, I'm gonna let it generate. I'm actually like pleasantly surprised with how this has turned out so far. Okay. So it's generated all the images. Ancient Celtic Fire Festival. That's funny. In this case, I gave it the prompt of like very little text, right? All Hallows Eve. This is a funny Irish immigration to America. Brought Halloween traditions to America and they used turnips. I did know about this. Pumpkins were later used. Halloween today. Huh. Okay. I'm I'm pleasantly surprised with how this turned out. Obviously, I used like a fun topic here, but okay, I see one that I want to change. Okay, so this one, this is cool, but I don't think that the font matches with an ancient Celtic fire festival. Let's see if it'll do this. Change the font to be more. I don't know, like old. If I say old, is that gonna work? I'm gonna say medieval, even though I know that's not relevant, but okay, can't change the edit the theme, change the text styling. So maybe it's okay, change the wording to beginning ancient. I think it's a little bit weird how it just says ancient Celtic fire. Like if we're telling a story or something, I probably want it to be a little bit more specific. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, it's funny. So it did what I wanted it to do, but it didn't quite. I guess I could have been more specific, remove this, things like that. But yeah, it's a funny one. Okay, so let's see. Remove the below text. Let's see if it'll do it. Rustic. Oh, that's a good suggestion. Yeah, unfortunately, it didn't change it wouldn't change the font, which is interesting because it's still an image. I thought it was like specific to, it must be something with the font family. Now it's just removed all the text. But, and interesting, and it also added like more flames and stuff, but still something that like is being worked on. But in this case, like it is one of those things where you're using agent to make the changes. So it can be tricky. I feel like personally, like it feels like it's a little bit less responsive on Studio because most of the time, like Agent can just make those changes. But yeah, that's a good example of how you would use Agent to edit Studio, even if it's not exactly working the way that that I hoped it would.
Yeah, I found it was like hit or miss. Sometimes it would be like right on the head with it, and then sometimes it would just go a different direction, which is it's AI. Sometimes that's just gonna happen anyways. I was really like pleasantly surprised with how good the words were in terms of like actually displaying on the images because just even a few months ago it was like couldn't get AI to spell anything correctly, and now it's much more looks like it's actually typed out, even though it's just an image.
Yeah, I know it has gotten a lot better from initially, like how it's generated I wonder too, I'm wondering like when it generates the outline, if you don't want to make edits, giving it the actually what you want it to say in the image so that it can generate it from there instead of trying to make the edits with agent. And maybe it's more specific to like image edits than like text edits.
That's what I was doing with mine. It was like I had written out the copy for each one of the slides before even generating anything, and then it was pretty much on the money for what it would write for each one of those slides. And anytime it wasn't, it was just like a word started to dissipate or like it just had weird spelling here or there, and then I would have to ask agent to fix it.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's probably the way to go about it then. Make the edits in the outline, especially if you're like, I know I don't want it to say this. And then maybe it's like focusing more on image edits than like
What like just on the topic of this, and I think for anyone that's generating any content with AIs, we talked about it with Tracy a little bit in the last conversation, like storyboarding, what scene by scene do you want it to look like? And I found that if you were able to also describe the images in the prompt and put those in, because like when you're generating something with Studio, you can give it a whole block of text. And if you give it slides 1 through 20, it'll actually generate, you ask it to generate the images, and then it'll do individual slides and enhance the slides with a prompt that is based on what you gave it.
Mhm.
So it was the more time I spent figuring out what did I actually want these slides to work like, it was much better on the output.
That's awesome. That's one of those things where you've probably spent more time in studio than I do, and those sorts of suggestions are really helpful. Then it's like you can actually generate what you want to create and not have to make so many edits. But yeah, like AI image generation, we've all been there where it's like you generate a really good image, but it's just one thing you want to remove, and then you ask it to remove it and it changes everything, and then you're like, I think any questions, like thoughts while I'm
Yeah,
still here?
got a couple minutes left, guys. Any questions, comments, thoughts on this or anything else? We've had quite the series with Gamma. Donna, did you have anything?
A quick question. So we have the Halloween theme. Can we add some spooky music? Or is there a way to get
That's a good oh wait, I wonder if I don't know if I can do it with studio though. I think it would be, yeah, I don't, this is one of those things where I want it to embed a Spotify playlist, but this is more like image editing. So we could, but not in this specific gamma. I
I
mean,
think you could. You could still embed the Spotify, right? Is that what you're saying?
let's see if we can, because it's asking me to generate what I want to make. So with studio, it's not just like your typical gamma experience where where I can just,
Uh,
but
can
that's
you
a really
drag?
good suggestion.
You can't drag something from the right side over and
From, oh, you mean, oh, that's good. Let's see. No. Yeah, it's more, I love that suggestion though. I want to be able to do that, especially if you're like presenting to kids or something. You're talking about the story of
yeah.
Halloween and you can have a fun playlist embedded, but with studio you can't, unfortunately.
We do have a comment with Omar about bringing Gamma into WordPress site. Can you talk about that? Is that
I
related to like importing a Gamma to WordPress? I know you can embed an iframe of a Gamma onto a WordPress. I don't know if you have any more context to that, Omar. And I know we're right at the top of our hour too, so both importing and embedding. Embedding, I know you can just embed like an iframe of a website. Like you can't, I do that on Webflow, so I imagine you can do it on WordPress too. Not sure about the importing side though.
Importing and embedding. I don't believe that's currently possible to import a Gamma site to other websites. But yeah, I think I can definitely look into it. I'm not like sure off the top of my head. I don't want to give you the wrong information, but I can definitely follow up and let you know.
Thank you so much, Amanda. And as always, there's always going to be more advancements to the tool as you guys continue to develop the platform. For those that aren't using Gamma, go ahead and head on over to gamma.app or use our affiliate link, geniu.com/gamma. Get started with a free trial of Pro. Give it a go and see what Gamma can help you create, bring your ideas to life, and join the community. Get involved, become a Gamma ambassador, be first to see the latest and new updates that they are bringing out and shipping in the world. Of course, subscribe to us here on YouTube so that you get more workshops, more demos, and more actionable insights for how to use Gamma to turn your ideas into reality. Amanda, thank you so much for the demonstration and all the sessions from the series this year. We're going to be moving into our final session of the summit, and we'll see you on the next workshop, whenever that may be.
It was so great to be here. Thank you all. Thanks for your feedback and your questions. And yeah, keep them coming. And thank
Thanks,
you, Joe.
Amanda. Cheers.
Bye.